Hey everybody, this is Alessandro. Welcome back to my channel. As you guys know, a few weeks ago Spider-Verse has been released. Great movies, been a great success, right? But what I want to share with you guys is an article from Cartoon Brew, which I will link in the description, by the way, where apparently a few animators moved forward anonymously and they came forward to discuss some of the problem in the production, right? Not to the point that they were mistreated or anything, but there was some issue that caused a lot of stress, people leaving, and overall a certain unhappiness about the project. I won't give specific names here, guys, because that's what I'm talking about it, but the reason why I'm talking about this is because it happens exactly the same to me when I was in feature film. How did I handle it, and in general things that I wanted to share with you, right? Okay, so one of the issues, like I think one of the director, when he was about to give feedback, he wasn't able to look at a layout or to look at a blocking and be able to understand where the direction was going. He basically had to wait for the animation to be fully finished, or even worse, fully rendered, before he gives some of the feedback, right? And this obviously leads to some frustration, because imagine you as animator, or you do all your shot, you do your blocking, everything, right? You do until it's fully polished. Maybe you spend 3 weeks, and then the animation is fully complete, it's fully rendered. And then it's like, oh, but I don't want the character that runs here and jump and do this. Maybe you should have just walked, then slow down, maybe thinking, or whatever. Just a complete different direction. And so obviously this leads for you that you need to redo the entire animation. You need to go back to blocking, redo it over and over until it's fully polished. You can't get any feedback because the person who is in charge was not able to have to be able to see the big picture until you fully finish it. And then again it's give you another retake, and this happen over and over and over, right? And this obviously it's very frustrating, because animator, we love our craft, we want to really make really full polish things to put in our demo, we want to be proud when it goes into the movie. But when this is happening after the second retake, you start to feel like, okay, what's the point to do all this effort in polishing if then he's not gonna like it, he's gonna change it again. And so you skip, you do the polish very poorly if you do it at all. And then it's the same when you do the blocking, right? The more you do, the less you started to care about it, right? And yes, maybe at the end of the day it still looks cool, great visual effects, great render, and everything together looks nice. But as an animator, you know, you could have done a lot more, and it doesn't do into the movie. And also leads to the problem where you know, it creates problem in production to everybody, people leaving, you know, movie extremely expensive, stuff like that, right? Another things that we're talking about it, that people arrive on the job, they move to Vancouver, they rent a place and everything. For the first 4 months they have nothing to do. There was really nothing, because the animation production didn't start yet. I can explain why this is happening. First of all, most of the time when production ramp up and when animation happen, they want to make sure that the crew is ready, right? And hiring takes a lot of time. Visa takes a lot of time, right? Sometimes there are issues and stuff like that. So the company doesn't want to wait until the last minute where animation is ready to start, and now you don't have all the people because you know, there are some issue here and there. People accept another job at the last minute, the visa is not going through or whatever, right? So they rather hire a lot sooner. But yes, I agree that for an animator or for an artist in general, it's very frustrating to be on the job and have nothing to do for 4 months, because you're gonna start to be very demotivated. You want to work on this kick-ass movie and nothing can be done, and yes, you get very demotivated. I had the same issue. The way I fixed it is that I was working on my own shot during the time. I come up with my own shot, my own idea, short movie, do with the other animator. We had a bit of fun, and that's the best way you can do that. It's not the same things, because obviously if you go there you want to work on Spider-Verse, but that's the only thing you can do about it, right? Another things that they mention is that again, same things for the animation was happening for the layout. They were watching the layout, and again, because the layout was not fully polished, or during the layout you don't have poses, you don't have facial expression, you have nothing, you have very rough cheap animation, because layout artists are not an animator, and people were not able to make a proper call until it's fully animated. And then sometimes again, when they watch the full animation fully polished, they realize that the sequence is not working. Now you need to change an entire sequence. On top of that, writing, apparently it was never locked down until the very end. There was always retake on the writing over and over and delete some change of layout, animation. They always need to go back, and this was, again, I can imagine, very, very frustrating. On top of that, they mentioned that there was 3 directors over there, so already here I can imagine the pain having a movie with 3 directors. It's already painful with 1 director, when sometimes he doesn't have a clear vision of what he wants. Imagine 3 of them. But then apparently there was a 4th person. I think I was a producer or someone else. I wasn't really sure, but he was giving feedback that he overruled the director, and so this is extremely confusing for artists, especially for animators, when you are there for dailies getting feedback. And first of all, you have 3 directors that sometimes they are not always have the same agreement. So one director is giving you feedback about this, another director is giving you feedback about something else. You have to try to make everybody happy, and definitely at the same time you have then another 4th person coming here and giving feedback, overrules everybody. You don't know you're supposed to listen. Again, it creates a lot of frustration. So bottom line, the question will be then, why Alessandro people stay? Well, first of all, apparently to the article, not everybody stayed. Around 10% of people left in the middle of production, but accordingly to this situation, you would expect a lot more people leave. So, well, why is that? Well, people why go there because obviously they want to work on Spider-Verse. They want to have their shot and their demo in the name of the credit. And guess what, guys? Because things change all the time. If you do a shot, imagine if it gets approved and then you leave the company because you get fed up with all those changes, and there is a chance that along the road another animator needs to pick your shot even though it was approved and needs to change it, right? And then it goes into the movie. In that case, that shot is no longer yours and you cannot put it in your demo reel, right? So because someone else touched it and it's gonna become his shot, right? So you don't have the rights to do that. So people stay until the end because they want to make sure they work on their shot until the very end, right? And second things, there was another things to mention is that many times you think your shot it's in, it's gonna prove, it's not gonna change anymore. Then you see the last edit at the end, and the shot being cancelled from the movie. So this person speaking during the article, they mentioned that there were quite a few people who work more than a year on the movie, and but because they left at some point, like 4 months before, because they were fed up and everything. And what happened at the end when the movie was released, because of the reason that I just mentioned to you guys, there's very, very little to show for, all right? And so there's another bigger problem, and that's the reason why people wanted to stay until the end, because they really want to have ownership to their shot. And also, guys, just to be very clear, if you finish your animation, it's fully done, fully complete, but it doesn't go into the movie, you cannot put it in your demo reel. There is a no-no, the company will sue you, so nothing you can do about it. Another things that were mentioned is because the movie was so popular and everybody wants to work on this movie, the company lowballed the salary to offer you a cheaper salary with the promise that you will, you know, we're working a lot of overtime, 17 hours a week, apparently they're talking about it, you will make a good salary to with all this overtime. Well, for me, this is a big issue, all right, obviously, but of course, I personally think that the artist is also the issue, and I'm telling you how did I approach this when I wanted to work in feature film. So as I mentioned, guys, I had a demo reel ready. I tried out I have a good offer, right? Well, a lot of offers, not all of them that were good. But then when I received the offer, I make sure that the base salary means 8 hours a day, was good for me, was for what it was worth it, and for the cost of living of the city, which is Vancouver, is quite a lot. I wouldn't accept a low offer because then I will work 70 hours a week and I'm gonna make a decent amount of pay. So for me it was like, okay, this is my base salary, it needs to be good, and then if I work overtime because there is this madness in this industry, then I will better get rich here, okay? And so that's why I accepted it. But if you accept a low offer, that's on you. And people, company do it, you know what? Because everybody wants to work on this movie. The previous movie was very well acclaimed because of the style and everything. Now all the artists, all the animators are there, and people will like, you know what? Just because I can have the chance to work on this movie, I will even do it for free. There are people like this, guys. That's your problem. I mean, that's people like this. For me, I outgrown this idea. I really want to work on this movie. No, if you don't pay me well, if you don't give me a proper contract, if you hire me only for 6 months, I don't care of the movie. I'm not gonna work. I have different priority, and so you should, right? But again, it's up to you. You're part of the problem if you're accepting those bad deals, right? That's all it is. It's great if you have a syndicate protecting you, but if you don't, that's only you. At the end, you have the final say. They give you the offer, you are the one accepting it, man. So it's entirely up to you. Last things I want to mention, as I mentioned, guys, these things are what happened to this movie. It's not the first time, it's not the last one. It happens to me. I do personally believe that the biggest problem when a company hire director that they have zero experience in animation, and the problem is they only able to give judgment and feedback only when the animation is fully finished, and this causes a lot of frustration. Because guys, I can tell you, I've been working in previous company where the director has been animator for 10 years, and then his feedback was flawless. It was on point. When you showed him the shot, you will be able to tell, hey, I'm sorry, I didn't work on the pose too much because just now I want to test the quick direction, the quick timing. You would be able to understand that. It says, don't worry, I can see the pose now, it not look appealing. I trust you will polish them later. But let's take about the direction. Let's take about the fact that the character is talking. He stops here, he's looking around, then he talks to this person. Maybe the flow, it doesn't work, it should not stop here, we're breaking the flow, or maybe the camera shouldn't be here, should be more here, right? He focuses on the more important things because he's able to visualize how those poses gonna look like when you improve them. Same things now when you do your blocking. When you do the blocking, you only do the main key poses, that everything looks very choppy. But if he's an experienced person, he will be able to visualize how this will look in animation. He's able to tell you if the problem is the poses or something else, right? So having a person like this, it saves a lot of time, guys. And unfortunately, sometimes company hire people who have not this kind of experience, and they make everybody struggle, guys. And this is a huge issue, because you might say, oh, but Alessandro, the movie gets cheap anyway, it makes 500 million, probably it's gonna get a billion, everybody happy. Well, not everybody happy. Maybe the investor, maybe the company is happy, but the artists who work there, they're not happy, and at some point they don't want to go back there. And sure, there are always gonna be new artists who will be very excited to work on the movie, but first of all, you're building a bad environment. Everybody's suffering, and there's gonna be a point where the breaking point, where at some point people are gonna be very tired and frustrated, and they don't want to work on this anymore. You don't know if at some point you're in the middle of the next movie, Spider-Man 3 or whatever, and people are so pissed off that it's gonna be a huge strike, that is caused billions of dollars to lose, right? Because it's gonna happen for a lot. You see what's happening right now with the strike, with the writer striking right now. It's happening for longer and longer, and a lot of movie and games that needs to be released soon have been postponed 6 months or a year because of that, and this is causing a huge financial loss. So I think companies need to start to think about more and this, and maybe they need to give a chance to people who've been, you know, working as animator for quite some times. I do remember this, I don't remember if it was this quote from Steven Spielberg or someone else. He was saying that, you know, every director should be an animator first, because animator can have a very clear vision of what they want. They can visualize the poses, the timing, and when you work in this kind of movie, it's a life savior. So maybe companies need to change a little bit the way they I don't know, they hire director, they promote people internally, because something eventually need to change. And me personally, when I saw this situation, I was in the visual effects industry and feature film for 2 years only. For me, it wasn't enough to quit and never go back. And I know people like, oh, but I want to work on this movie, I want to work on this, you know, what I'm gonna do if I don't have the chance. Well, guess what? Plenty of other companies right now that they offer better condition, they're not so brutal, and you can have a really great life. You just have to discover those places. A lot of people now, they are shifting to games, for example, because they are more stable. People don't want to go through this and stay in a movie for 6 months, 1 year, and then relocate to another company, another city all the time. You know, people now start to favor more stability, and there is the chance. You just need to be the one who want to do the change, right? But again, that's for today. I hope you enjoy, and see you next time. Ciao, guys.